PS5 tutorial. So something caught my eye earlier today. A new release called AirPSX.elf. So this is pretty interesting. Something I've not really seen for the PS5 or the PS4 in the past. So essentially, according to this project, it says here, AirPSX is a payload similar to AirDroid. It allows you to manage many operations related to your console via the web-based desktop environment. It does say not responsible for any damages to your console. If something goes wrong, I guess this is a very early build. But so far, I haven't run into any major problems using it. So it says it's a remote management software for jailbroken PS5s. It gives you access to a remote desktop via the web browser that you can access to control your PS5. It has things like a file manager, the ability to back up your profiles, even the ability to remotely launch games as well, and also stats. It can also view like your CPU stats, your console information, and I'm sure more and more will eventually be added to this over time. Apparently, there is a package installer that will be coming to it in the future. Kind of reminds me a lot of Multiman on the PS3 with its sort of desktop file manager. feature as well. So in order to set this up, what we need to do is download a couple of things. We need to download the ELF file from the project. We also want to download John Thornblum's homebrew launcher, from his a PS5 payload dev repo. So we're gonna download both of those to our computer and copy those files to the root of a USB drive. And then we're gonna plug that USB drive into our PS5. Once we're on the PS5, we're gonna load up our jailbreak. I'm using my 3.02 for 0.51 system here. So I'm using that jailbreak. So once you load up the jailbreak successfully, we're gonna run John Thornblum's ELF loader. If you're using the UMTX exploit on 1.xx to 5.xx, then you don't have to run John Thornblum's ELF loader, because it runs automatically when you load the exploit. So from there, you just need to run the web server payload next. And once that's up and running, you should be all good to go. So from there, we can head over to our settings, go down to the debug settings, package installer, and what we're going to do is install that homebrew launcher from John Thornblum and get that installed. Once that's installed, we have the homebrew launcher available. We're gonna run it. Then we're gonna select the option to add a new ELF file to launch. And we're gonna browse for it. So the location is on the USB drive, which is in the MNT folder, and then the USB 0 folder usually. And then we can select the ELF file there, and that will add it, of course. You can copy this later to the data folder on the hard drive if you want to have it permanently installed, instead of having to have it on a USB to launch it. But for now, anyway, we'll just launch it from the USB drive. So we'll select it, and that will get it loaded on the console. And then it should say it's available on port 1, and you can remote connect to it from a desktop computer, or from your phone or any device that has a web browser that's connected to the same network as your PS5. Now, I have noticed that I've not been able to get it to work using properly the Chrome web browser. So for now, I'm just using Microsoft Edge. God forbid. But this is what I'm using at the moment to actually get it connected. So all I have to do is enter the IP address of the PS5 in the web browser with :214, and then we get remote access to our PS5 here. So take a look at this. We've got disk storage showing user storage, USB storage as well. It does also say here there's a package installer that is work in progress, so that will be coming in a future version. Also tells you the current app that is running on the console. So we can see we're running the homebrew launcher right now. The uptime of how long we've been running that application. We've also got the mode as well, so CPU, normal frequency, CPU temperature, and SOS temperature as well, showing you can also change to light mode. So you can have light mode or dark mode and here. Then we've got a bunch of other features. So we've got profile. So this gives you your profile, all the profiles that are currently on the console right now. I don't know what happens if I select one. There we go. So it just shows us the information, the profile ID. So you can literally back up the save data files for that specific profile, or you can back up the saves for all profiles as well. So we click that and that creates a backup. And that is pretty handy, or just download it to our computer. If we open that up, you can see we've got all the saved data showing up in here. So that's pretty handy. You can just back up your saves. All your profile data there can be backed up. So the file manager allows you to browse the file system. Just like with FTP, of course. It doesn't have as many options as FTP, but you can see if I go into, say, user folder, we can then go into app, meet it, and I'll just find you. Know something like this. So we've got pig icon 0.png. I can right click and download it, and that will download it to my computer right there. So yeah, you can download files here. It looks like it's gonna have the option to rename and delete those are files. Currently disabled, so this is a very early version. But I suspect eventually it'll allow you to do things like replace files, upload files, as well as download them and copy paste. Delete, the usual stuff that you'd expect. So that is pretty cool there. But for now, it's just downloading, and then we've got the process list. This gives you a list of all the processes running on your console. So it's got all of that listed there for you. Then we have a script editor, which allows you to apparently execute scripts on the console. I'm not gonna do that in case it causes any kind of issues there. Then we've got system information, gives you your model serial number, hardware model, architecture, operating system running freebs for 0.03. PS for STK version is spoofed, of course, and then you've got your kernel version, your update version, and your system uptime all included there as well. And then there's statistics. You can actually get statistics for your temperatures and frequencies. All of that's included there. And one of my favorite options here, of course, is applications. So you can actually remotely launch an application from here. So basically, I can just click Ghost of Tsushima, and it will launch it on the console. So I just click it, I say run application, and I can literally hear my disk spinning up and it running. Weird how it says failed to start application. I think it has actually started yet. You can see there, if we switch back over to our console, we do in fact have the game running. So that is in fact working. So you can remotely launch games from here as well. So I absolutely love that feature. So it looks like when you launch an application, it will close the currently running application, of course, which stops this from working. So maybe there's a way to get this running in the background through Lip Hijacker or through the John Thomlin's Persistent Elf Loader. And then that way, we could remotely launch apps and keep this running at the same time, which would be nice. And then there's also the GitHub page here, which takes you to the AirPSX GitHub repo as well. So yeah, pretty interesting project. I had no idea anything like this was coming. Just kind of blindsided me here. And I was really impressed with all of the features built in here. I've not really seen something like this. And it's cool that could be flashed out to include a package installer. Upgrade the file managers so that you can upload files as well. Maybe open files directly on here. Edit text files and stuff like that from here remotely. So that would be awesome. Maybe even a remote play thing built in so that you can enable remote play and actually see the console from the browser and control it remotely. So lots of possibilities potentially with this in the future. This is just the very early, initial version that has been released here. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of this in the comments section. Are you impressed with it as much as I am? So hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave